This is new. Mr. Caterer Inc., doing business as Mr. C's, looking for a Class A, B, C, and D, which is unamplified vocal music, entertainment other than music, amplified vocal music, and or dancing. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Maybe a question. So they haven't had a license like this before? Is this a
Well, I think it says there's a special planned event on June 8th.
I see.
Epilepsy fundraiser, 12 to 6.
Okay, I got it. Yep, okay. Thanks.
So can I ask a point of clarification? If it is a special event, is this then a one-time approval for that event then?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Any concerns? The event's from 12 to 6, so it is during the day.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? It's a vote. Okay, we have some new victular licensees. Mountain Man Hot Dogs, Class D. Type of eating facility, mobile, food, hours of operation 9 to 6. Can I have a motion?
Move that we approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No discussion, no questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's a vote. Next, we have Class H license for Carousel Music Theater. Dates of operation, June 24th to October 8th, in the evening, 6 to 10. And we have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have a Class B license request from Eventide Specialties.
Move that we approve. Sorry.
Yeah, second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay. And lastly here, a Class G license for Ava's Seaside Deli, 21 Wharf Street. Hours of operation 7 to 8, May 14th to October 14th. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Type of eating facility, deli, obviously. No questions, all in favor? Okay, those are all approved. The next group are renewal licensees for liquor license. We can take them individually or we can take them as a group. They are for the Boothbay Harbor Yacht Club, Welch House Inn, Lincoln Bay Resort, Carousel Music Theater.
Move we take them as a group.
Yeah,
Second that.
Any discussion on taking them as a group?
Take them out of here.
No, all in favor? We'll take them as a group. Okay, so motion to approve the group,
So moved.
Second.
okay? Any discussion?
They've all been initialed by the police chief. Yes.
But they're all renewals. I don't think we've had any issues with
Nope.
these in the past. So, no other discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. They're all approved. Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, no, don't leave.
Leave?
Okay, that takes care of public hearings, I believe. I don't have any other ones here. All right, great. Moving on to old business, job descriptions. We had a number of job descriptions that our HR consultant helped with writing. And we can discuss. I think there were some questions about some of them.
Yes, I had some questions that I had sent to get clarification and some feedback on, and I'd be happy to walk through those if you feel they merit further discussion. Some of them Tom answered with just as clarifications, but it's up to you as the chair. So.
I saw a reply to that too from Anna Lee late in the afternoon where she added some more things to that.
Yeah, I think it might be easiest, even though it might be kind of lengthy, maybe to take them one at a time, because there may be some that people have more questions on than others.
Sure.
So, should we start, you want to start with the CEO one? It just happens to be the one that's in front of me. Doesn't really matter to me which one to start with.
You had asked the question, I had asked the same
Right,
one, so
exactly.
in terms of certifications.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I'd like to see added to the requirements and skills for this job description is something to the effect of meets all state statutes for certification, training and recertification and retraining, something along those lines. Something to leave it broad enough, but so that we cover all the bases, but that we say we want to make sure that we meet the state statutes. Yeah.
My understanding is he has a year to meet all certifications.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So why don't we say that specifically, must meet all certifications within 1 year of hire?
Fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be a
And-
simple way to address that, I think.
And any ongoing recertifications in case
Yeah.
you're ever, that's ever needed. That's fine.
Sure, sure.
I don't want to be
Yep,
that
sure.
specific, I'm fine with that.
So I move we add that to this job description.
And I second that.
Any other comments on this particular one?
Nope.
Okay. Do we have a motion to?
We have a motion to amend this by adding something, so we need to vote on
Okay,
that.
all in favor?
Seconded.
Right. Okay, so that one's approved with the
No,
addition.
now we need a motion to,
Oh, sorry,
Now we
motion
need
to,
right?
I've lost track of where we are.
Denise, may I ask a question? Jeff, our code enforcement officer, just like Dabney before, has been extremely helpful working with the planning board. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that defines in the job description about that, and just his continued efforts towards working with the planning board, or?
Right, well, the job description really doesn't review people's, isn't the vehicle to review their work, but certainly,
No.
the planning board is mentioned in here.
That's all I wanted to ask, was that it was,
Absolutely.
okay.
And Board of Appeals.
One of the things it says, Mike, is sets the agendas, prepares materials, attends advisory council, conducts research as requested, and issues notices of decisions for the planning board and board of appeals meetings.
What he does and what he does well, I have an editorial. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the job description
As amended.
as amended?
Amended. Yep.
Okay, great, that one's a vote. All right, let's see. Didn't bring all of the other ones with me. So I have assessing assistant.
Sure.
Anybody have any comments on that?
Well, Denise, maybe this is time to bring up at least one of the first point I made, since all of these have the general expectations and they're uniform throughout the position. And one of the things I think is very important is a sense that all of us, particularly town employees, selectmen, we work for the people in the town. But there was not any sort of uniformity about the expectation of providing superior customer service, which I think when you come to the town office, that's a very important expectation to have right up front. It is something that would be uniform across all of these positions. To add that, I think Tom indicated there probably wouldn't be an issue in adding that if the Board of Selectmen felt that was appropriate. But this is a service center to serve the people of the town.
And Annalee's email at 4:03 said she'd be fine to add that too, so.
Yeah, so that would be something I'd suggest adding to each of them, since it's the
Right.
general expectation across all the positions.
I don't see any problem with that. I think that's,
Good.
good.
I think that's a good idea, Wendy. Real good idea.
Super.
Okay, then I think what we need to do is, I mean, we could make a motion to say we're adding those to all the job descriptions, but we'll also have to kind of go back and make sure that, because there were some that we already approved already, right?
Mhm.
So we need to revisit those.
Yeah, we've just done one, so that's why I jumped in to say, rather than go back for each one of these, if we could think about adding them for all.
I think you could have
Yeah.
a global motion to
Yeah.
add that to all our job descriptions
It's,
in the administrative.
it's,
Yeah.
boy,
Oh,
it's
well.
uniform
Well-
language across all of them, so.
I guess, were you talking just the administrative
No.
staff, or I thought
No,
you
I
were
s-
talking
I said
all
everybody.
employees?
All
Oh,
of the,
everybody.
all of the employees.
All right, I think you can have a motion to do that.
Sure.
Sure.
Because we did,
Great, then I would move that adding a expectation of providing superior customer service be added to the general expectations for all of the town position descriptions.
Second.
any other discussion?
No,
Oh,
Good.
Okay, all in favor?
Great, thank you so much.
Motion carries.
So I didn't have anything else with the assessing assistant in that. So.
Anybody else? No?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
Can
Not on
can we
that
have a motion to approve the assessing assistant job description?
So moved.
Second.
second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, then I think we had a town clerk job description. And we have a motion to approve the town clerk job description.
So moved. So moved, second.
Okay, any comments, additions, corrections?
No, I didn't, not on that one.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I am
Good.
too.
Okay,
Yep.
all in favor? All right, great. So the next one is assistant tax collector, if my memory serves me correctly.
Right.
All right, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right, any comments, questions?
I didn't have any on that, Denise.
All right. All in favor? Okay, motion carries. And let's see, what do we have next? We have finance officer. Can we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any questions?
Yes, I did have a question about this. Given the complexity of our finances and the, and the sheer dollar of our finances, under the requirements and skills needed for the position, it says knowledge of generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP of principles and governmental accounting standard boards, GASB, are highly preferred. And I thought, if this is really our chief finance officer, I could not imagine why those would not be required rather than highly preferred. If this was just an accountant or bookkeeper, I could see that being highly preferred, but this is really the individual that really oversees our financial operation, and knowledge of GAAP standards is frankly pretty standard at that level of oversight. So I would recommend changing that to, from highly preferred to, what did I say? I guess required.
Okay. Any-
So could you, sorry,
Yep, oh,
could you read that list of things
Sure.
again, qualifications again?
Yeah, it's on the, it's basically the basic background for the requirements, skills needed for the position. It's the third bullet. It says knowledge of generally accepted account principles, which in the accounting world is called GAAP, GAAP. And governmental accounting standards boards, GASB, highly preferred. And at the level of which the finance officer, being an
Yep.
exempt employee and overseeing the type of financial information that is currently overseen, those would appear to me to be requirements for this type of position with this level of authority than a highly preferred, meaning you could not or not have those, but in the accounting world, I think it would be somewhat unusual not to expect someone in this position to have the GAAP knowledge. That's fairly standard.
You want it mandatory. You're
Yes,
talking about
required,
mandatory.
yes.
Well, I think
Mandatory.
also where this was intended was, if you look at number 3 here, on the job requirements, it says follows and implements all aspects of accounting auditing, including generally accepted accounting principles, and keeps current on governmental accounting standards board pronouncements. In response to your question about it, Annalee replied back, it was our attempt to cover this more broadly worded statement. It could be redrafted specifically to include all other in place or may come into being, but I think she was trying to encompass all of it, so.
Yeah, I would just say one of our chief things is fiduciary oversight of the town finances and taxes, and this is one of the places where we ensure we have the right training and skill set in place within the town employees for us to exercise appropriate fiduciary oversight, so.
Julia, do you have strong feelings on
I
this?
don't, I actually think the word required should be there, and I guess when I looked at it, it's over. I mean, I wouldn't be able to complete the audit process every year if I was not
Yes.
required to follow by GASB here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard at
It
this
is very
level.
Pretty
standard.
much.
Yeah.
any other questions about this particular job description? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't. I have only have the
Did you want
comments,
my
not
copy?
the actual
Sure,
job
I'd
description.
just like to read the,
Yeah, I'll say, actually, while you're reading, anytime you do an audit, if you're the individual preparing the financial statements, you have to sign usually a audit letter that indicates that
See
you're
that.
following GAAP principles, so if we don't require it, sort of a disconnect between what the
but
expectations are.
is it a certificate?
No.
Or are we
No.
saying
No.
knowledge of it?
No, it's a
That's what I was-
Knowledge of it.
It's-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a knowledge of it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're making that as an amendment to,
Yes,
The
yes, I
motion.
am.
okay,
Second.
I don't,
thank you. Okay, so are we clear on the wording?
We're
for that?
changing highly preferred to required, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Okay, great.
all right.
All in favor of the job description with the change to the wording as Wendy recommended?
Yep.
Great,
There we go.
good. It's a vote. Okay, what do we have left there?
Yes, thank you.
That was all of
I
them.
think that's it.
That's it.
We're just 5, right?
We did them all.
Town clerk?
Yeah, okay. Lovely.
Yep.
Yep, we did them all.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's nice. So we got a group done. I think the next group is going to be what Annalee is going to work on. It's going to be some, whatever job descriptions are left that we haven't done. She's done most of them.
Non-essential.
Non-
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Non-union group.
Non-union.
Yeah, so, lovely. Okay, great. I don't think we have any other old business on the agenda, correct?
Correct.
All right, moving on to new business. So first on the agenda here is the 8 Wharf Street project update.
So my name's Adam Maltese, I'm with Knickerbocker Group, and what we're working on is a project for 8 Wharf Street, which is, if you're familiar with the lower section of Wharf Street. It's the green building on the corner. I actually have a picture of. It's this structure here. And it's a very tight spot, a very difficult spot to work in terms of the project sits right on the property line. The property line actually is that yellow line is probably on town property. On the byway, it's very close. And so what we're asking the town to consider is the temporary closing of Wharf Street during the off-season, so that we can use that as a staging area. And to show you exactly where that space is, this is a plan of the site. This is Wharf Street here. This is the byway here. This is the bowling alley here. There's, for instance, the canneries here, ice cream factory, and then the wharf sits down in this area, and the Lewis block sits here. And then this is Christmas Magic. So to give you a perspective where this is. This is the subject property. And again, the idea is that we would tear that building down starting probably November 1st. So we're floating as a tentative schedule. And then reconstructing basically the building in the same, almost the exact same footprint. It's entirely inside the shoreline, so at the same time we're going to expand the building to the max of the shoreline, the 30% expansion. And the section that we're interested in closing down it's the section of the byway, which extends basically along the length of the building. So right now, driving down Wharf Street's a one-way, and then it's a one-way coming back out the byway. Our request would be that we could shut down we'd run some temporary fencing around the outside of the existing sidewalk, which is a sidewalk that sits so there's a sidewalk that sits right here. There's a series of privately owned concrete and wood sidewalk spaces. The idea is we would run a fence along the outside of the Wharf Street property, this fence, and then bring it back in towards a telephone pole, which is located, it's this telephone pole right here. So the fence would run down the yellow line here and then across, basically right back in that car. Then it would extend up the inside of the street side of the sidewalk and then return back to the property just beyond the back of, it's actually just after the bowling alley starts. And the concerns that we presented this to the planning board, some of the concerns that were given really the amount of time that was going to be taken out of the business season, and really there's a lot of concern about Columbus Day weekend was really a driver in that. So we try to push it's difficult. We're trying to meet the owner's criteria of obviously building in the winter takes a bit more capital, but we're also trying to keep as much of the business unaffected, I guess, in that area, or as minimally affected as possible.
So can I paraphrase what I think I heard you say?
Okay.
I think I heard you say you want to close the byway beginning July 1st.
No.
No.
November.
Excuse me, November
November
1st.
Yes, November 1st?
But close the byway.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. How, for what period of time?
Through, actually, right now, the schedule is looking at through April 30th.
April 30th.
So I can give you a tentative, this is our tentative schedule here. So what we're saying is a day to begin demolition is again November 1st. And then the heavy excavation, demolition, excavation, foundation really will occur in this area here. But we're going to be using this area as a staging area. So that heavy chunk of demolition really occurs throughout the holidays. And then starting January 1st, or starting actually, I guess, towards the end of December really, but post-holidays would be the actual starting to reconstruct the building, coming up out of the ground, foundation, and then framing, and then all the interior framing finishes.
I'm kind of concerned with fire protection in that area.
That's where I was going to go next.
Yeah. There's hydrants right there, and we can't have those closed off.
That's great, and we did, we talked to Jody Lewis, who's
Right.
and he spoke with the fire chief. The fire chief's concerns were really not, he didn't have a great deal of concern about fighting a fire down in this area even. We would still keep, well, Wharf Street open, and we'd still keep the byway open to, it would be a residents only situation. So someone could still make deliveries in this area, someone could still enter this area, and a fire truck or an ambulance could still come down and actually locate themselves in this position. And they could do the same in the byway, come down and actually park, turn into this parking area. According to the fire chief, he could fight a fire in one of these buildings, from even a location up here, using the large blower trucks. There's also, you can't actually see it here. We have an aerial. So again, here's the byway, here's the bowling alley. There's also this parking lot here that they can actually gain access to fight a fire in one of these structures here.
Can I ask your a couple questions? One,
Sure.
The early bird is a very big deal for merchants, and the Harbor Festival of Lights. I'm just curious, impact that those businesses feel this might have on sort of two of those end-of-year shopping dates.
That's correct. There was some concern. Really, Columbus Day seemed like it was the one that was really floated out as sort of it's the last hurrah of the summer season. But the other thing that we're trying to be very mindful of is trying to keep the sidewalks open throughout the construction season. So a pedestrian really walking off the wharf is going to still be able to walk across the sidewalk and still sort of hit all of these buildings on the way up, and actually pass on through down to the bridge even. So the idea is that really pedestrian traffic shouldn't really see very much of a change. It's going to really be more again, automobiles trying to pass through that space that are going to notice a difference.
Sure, I'm curious for the cannery, I think, which is your right there. Has that owner talked about, I don't know when they close, in terms of visibility of their business, and whether you needed to have that sort of diagonal, I guess, workspace, staging space, so that their visibility basically is fairly attenuated unless somebody comes all the way down to the end of Wharf Street. And it may be that if they are closing, that's really a moot point, but I don't know what time they close. Do you have any idea, since
No,
they
this-
would predominantly be the business affected by that sort of barrier and lack of traffic?
And Mr. Gaines said you'd be open probably year-round, so it definitely would be,
So is there any way to attenuate your staging space to give them a little bit more visibility so that,
so they could be seen from
Yeah.
up in this
yeah,
area?
I mean, that you're coming straight off the line that follows sort of the lot, but if you
Mhm.
bring it up
Sure.
north a little bit more, at
Yeah.
least they have some exposure that, you know, at least lets people know they're there
Yeah.
and open.
You mentioned residents only, but you didn't really mean that, because McSeagle's is open all year round. So you're gonna be having cars coming down there to shop and use those businesses, correct?
Well, again, unless we wanted to try to push it towards pedestrian traffic, that's, we have actually offered the idea of keeping Wharf Street open to two-way traffic and then allowing turnaround in here. Our concern is, actually my personal concern, having been down there now during sort of even a delivery, mid-afternoon delivery time, is it gets very congested in this area even now. And then the idea of having snow and having, and trying to have customers actually moving down into this space and out of this space.
And, you know, in the winter, I drive down, I drive onto the wharf, and I park in front of McSeagle's, and I walk 10 feet to McSeagle's. If I can't do that, I'm not gonna be as inclined to go.
I'm still confused. Let's say the ambulance needs to be called down there, either to someplace on.
To
the-
McSeagle's.
To
Or the Cafe
McSeagle's,
Coronary.
or to, you know, one of the stores there. How are they leaving the area?
Again, this would be open to two-way traffic, so, and
So
one
that's the big change.
that's the big change, that's correct. So, an ambulance could drive down onto Wharf Street, turn around in this location and back out
Okay.
again. Or they can actually come down onto the wharf and
Yeah.
turn around,
Well,
just
yeah.
as you would do it.
There's actually quite a bit of pavement down there, and I think you could have an adequate turnaround with some re-signing and some, and in fact, I think you could even have some parking spots down there. I was,
Moving the staging would also give you more of a turnaround.
yeah,
so.
yeah, and right, we're leaving the staging would give you some additional parking in front of the cannery or. I was actually wondering more about the byway, coming down that. It's very difficult. I mean, I don't really see right now how you would turn around down there to go back out.
Yeah, and this is private parking, and, you know, this area is actually pretty large right here. And so a car coming down could actually turn around.
Would you have agreements with that private parking then, that will be open so that people can turn around there?
We have actually talked to the, Eric Martin is, who we're talking with now about doing the actual construction. And he's actually spoken to, at
Alex
least
Logan.
had introductory conversations with the two
Alex
property
Logan's
owners.
property.
Because without that, I don't see you turning around down there.
So what are the lines? There's a light gray shaded area.
This line?
No.
Oh, light gray
That.
shaded area, this
Yep.
area.
What is that?
So there is one of Jody's big concerns was snow removal.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
That's
this
my next
area is,
question.
this area is, it's sort of the low point in town, and getting a plow truck down is not a problem, but pushing snow back up these streets is actually quite difficult.
Yeah.
So right now, in a heavy snow situation, they plow all the snow down, pile it in this area right here, and then actually bring all the snow down the byway the wrong way,
Yeah.
and then pile it actually here as well. And then there's several other spots in town that have a similar scenario. They'll then deal with the sort of more urgent or more critical areas, and then as time allows, they have their contractor remove the snow pile with a bucket loader and truck it out. Exactly. So the idea is that during a snow event, this row of fencing would stay in place, This would be a sort of semi-permanent, or a more permanent of the temporary fencing. Would be located against the sidewalk. These two gates would be swung back against the building, and then that would allow Joey to pull a plow through that area. So the idea would be that he would go and make his passes and pull a bulk of the snow out. And then at that point, he would be in the same situation he is now, where he would have this large pile of snow to then have haul away. And we're talking with him about how each party would be responsible for that removal of snow. Obviously, if we have some of the snow is coming off of our building site, then we would obviously want to take care of a portion of that snow that is removed. So he's now working on.
Okay, I missed in that though, the distinction between the dark gray and the light gray.
yeah.
Sorry, the light gray area is an area that's sort of available for staging. When we're starting to do the brickwork on this building, we'd like to put the staging up and then
Okay, so
tarp
that's
it
an
off.
area that may be sort of permanently blocked, whereas the other,
Yes,
given a advance notice of a storm, you could clear and make available.
exactly.
So is there any way that that could be left clear? I mean, even if it was one car lane wide, just to allow access through there, would be a lot more convenient than blocking the whole road.
Our bigger concern, staging is definitely a concern. The bigger concern is really excavation. Excavation and pouring concrete. There's a bit of steel going into the building too, so there we've got cranes and trucks being
sure.
loaded and unloaded.
Sure.
So at best, there would be sections of the road that might be open open for an hour or two and then closed and then open for an hour or two. One of our initial thoughts was, do we want to try to set a schedule where the road might be closed for a certain period of time and then open for another period of time? It definitely hinders construction more. That's
Sure it does, but if it was closed for a couple days, that would be less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Are you planning to work weekends?
That's right now. The tentative schedule is Monday through Saturday.
Okay.
So theoretically, you could move some of your staging equipment and open up that gray area during early bird and during the Festival of Lights. So that would be open during those particular town busy commerce days.
Yeah, and that was something we talked about with Eric, and was definitely trying to keep the space as cleaned up as possible. For instance, on Thanksgiving weekend, shut down work early, clean up as best we could, pull everything off the street. We hadn't necessarily talked about opening the street, but that certainly is something we could discuss.
How long is it demolition? How long are you?
We think about 6 days to bring the building down and clean up the site, and then probably another week of excavation. And we're concerned about excavation, what we're going to find underneath this building. Took a pretty close look in the basement actually just the other day. And it looks like most of the footings sit on ledge. And talking with Jody too, you can actually see the sewer patch from, I guess there was a problem at the bistro 10 years ago or so, and had to tear up a section of the sewer. You can actually see where that sewer line runs, basically right parallel with that building. So we don't think that's going to be a big concern. The water all comes down. Actually, there's a whole slew of shutoffs down in this area. So I think between the sewer coming down Wharf Street, the sewer coming down the actual street here, there shouldn't be a lot actually coming underneath this building. So one of our initial concerns was that there was a lot of sort of hidden utilities, old clay pipe or something for a sewer underneath the building, but it looks like it's pretty clear.
When was that building built?
It's hard to say. It looks like it's almost 2 sections of building, and it's probably, if there's one small,
Yeah.
you can see it here, let me pull it up. There's one small section of like a hip roof
Yeah.
structure there with a fireplace in it. That looks like it's probably turn of the century, and this looks like it was turn of the century as well. Perhaps 2 different structures that were merged. Exactly sure of that.
Look on the papyrus deed. So,
So I appreciate the fact that you talked to Jody about this, but has Jeff or Mike or Tom, have you talked to either Nick or Bob, Chief Hosh, about this?
I have not, but I know that Mike and a group have met to go over this concept. I don't know if everyone's been in the same room at the same time.
If you'd like just a 30-second review, the last planning board meeting was the second presentation done by Adam on the 8 Wharf Street project. We had probably about 25 representatives from the community that were there to raise a number of questions that Adam's working through. We have a site visit scheduled for Thursday, this Thursday, the 29th, and then with a number of the recommendations that we asked Adam to look at, they'll be working on those and should be presenting them at the June 11th planning board meeting. So we haven't heard anything yet about direct talks with Nick Upham or Chief Hash yet. But I will mention a couple of things. If there's going to be two-way traffic down the byway, those 6 spaces in front of the bowling alley will have to get lost, at least in the interim. The other thing, we talked about early bird and men's night, family night, and traditionally those are pedestrian-focused events. So while losing the traffic for that isn't as big of a concern, the ability to have the vehicles come down and to access Miss Siegel's and the cannery was clearly demonstrated at the meeting. And I think the developer said, you know, in best of all worlds, sure, close the whole area off and let us have it. And in the business owners, in the best of all worlds, no, leave it all open. So we were working towards some type of compromise. And as Russ has mentioned, there may be a possibility to work, certainly to keep a car width open at particular times, maybe with the idea that in general it gives the appearance or feel that the area is closed, but can have some limited access.
Adam, on the very sharp corner by the insurance agency, you just go past the bowling alley and take a left, go back. On that very sharp corner, in your estimation, is it even physically possible with a car parked at the insurance agency to have 2 cars go through there in opposite directions?
We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's a good question. It is definitely pretty tight. And that, I think, was the...
Not my car.
Not my car. We'll do Jay's car.
Yeah.
Russ's car. Russ's car. That's right.
We'll test it with Jay's car, that's good.
It's this corner here,
Right.
right there.
It's extremely tight.
It is very tight. There's a couple parking spaces right in this area.
Yeah, there's a head-in
that-
angle parking there.
Exactly, and we talked about maybe changing the direction of those, but maybe that last one might have to get lost. There is a parking area right, or the sort of a no man's land in this area, which allows access to the bridge. And again, a car pulling into that area might be able to allow another car to pass through. Again, it seems like the best scenario, especially for the byway, would be something like, again, a residence only or something along those lines. So it's people who own those businesses, people who are making deliveries to those businesses, which again, I believe the boathouse will be closed for this period of time.
Yeah.
But it would be access to those spaces.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that the byway will see less traffic and is less of an issue than the Wharf
Yeah,
Street extension.
that's
Yeah,
definitely more.
I want to keep that functional.
But my biggest concern is fire, police, and ambulance access. So to the extent that we can have as best, as large a access as possible, or maybe single lane access in there, I think that would be preferred,
Through the actual space.
ideally.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Again, I don't think it'd be physically
But-
possible to take a fire truck down the
Well,
other
no,
direction.
but maybe
We can't
the
do that
ambulance.
corner.
Ambulance.
Be a hard
Ambulance,
job.
maybe.
I'm
yeah.
kind
You
of
can do
trying to
that.
think of juggle all 3 here. So, yeah.
You could get one as far as an ambulance in there, but it would be rather tight, and the guys these days, they could probably squeeze through.
Mike, were any of the Tiltons at your meetings?
No, no,
Might want to touch base with them.
sure.
Because they'd definitely be affected big time.
And one of the things I think that we asked Adam to do was maybe to consider an overlay of showing spaces, what would conceptually a lane of traffic look like, or something like that. So this is still part of the process, where we haven't approved anything, we're still going through what we think would work or might not work. So, and I'm sure more questions are going to be coming up, but definitely that. And there was also mentioned about the, not just the building owners, but residents inside the building owners, how to get word out to them and get some comment. Does the byway wrap all the way back up to Townsend? Is that also the byway? I guess. So there are residents up
Well,
above.
it becomes Bridge Street. doesn't
Oh,
it?
right.
Bridge Street.
Residents above Bridge Street Cafe. There's other residents. So yeah, there's definitely a communication piece that's got to be done as well. So.
My concern is same as Denise's, the fire department, and you're going to demolish that building, so that's a hazardous situation when you demolish. Who's doing the demolishing?
That would be, again, Eric Martin would be the general.
Okay. You're working on those permits, demolish buildings?
Yes, well, that's the next step with, once we get planning board approval, is then building permits.
My concern is closing that road off totally. I don't see how that's gonna happen, personally. I mean, the board has expressed their opinion, but my opinion is, start closing, and you haven't talked to the Tiltons yet, and I think you should be doing that. Have you talked to everybody that's concerned?
We had our first public meeting
Did the letters go out
to the abutters.
yeah.
I believe Jeff did, and what's in the paper and on the website. So, but again, we've announced in the paper that there's the site visit this coming Thursday, and then the next round at the next planning board meeting. So,
I've driven a fire truck down through there, it's pretty tight, especially engine 3. I just want to make sure it's safe and not, with the fire department and everything. I think Nick should be at those meetings,
Absolutely, yeah.
and of course the chief.
the planning board can't require a closure of a road. That would be through the town. Is there any direction that the selectmen would like to give towards the board, or I would imagine that after Thursday's meeting and at the next planning board meeting, or at the next selectmen's meeting, I can come back and we can talk about what was discussed in the next round of input.
I obviously can't speak for the board, but if we can satisfy ourselves about the fire and safety, and that's a big if, but let's assume right now we can, I certainly would be much more amenable to a series of scheduled closures and opening it up on weekends, for example, and certainly opening up for the fall, the winter events. In other words, the ability to be able to have it open 2 days out of 7 or 3 days out of 7 or something like that would sit much better with me than this blanket long closure. That doesn't really fly with me.
Yes, I'd agree.
I agree with that.
I certainly know, for example, Thanksgiving, the great crowd and things that Ralph draws down, and the money and things that are raised for the town.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to do anything to impede upon that. So I'm sure there's a balance that we can
Yeah,
come to.
I understand you're going to need to close that section when you're doing the demo, but I'd like to see that as short as possible and then open up again while you stage for the next, and then, need it closed for another. That would be more tenable to me.
The other thing I think we should stipulate is that there be some signage up at the head
Top
of,
of the,
Yeah.
up by Sherman's even, to discourage, to let people know that if they're coming down, if Bill's coming down to dinner.
No RVs.
He's not gonna get out.
Small vehicles only.
And also over on the Bridge Street side, if we're gonna allow people to.
Yeah, that in particular, because you're going to get trapped down there. on
People
that.
should know, yeah.
Yeah.
If we get too many cars down there, it's gonna be a mess.
that give you enough guidance?
Yeah.
For what you're looking for?
Starts to give up.
But I think,
Okay.
I think we should say that we appreciate you and the owner being sensitive to the schedule and picking a quiet, obviously, that's a quiet time of year to do this, so that, appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Show them the rendering of it. Beautiful.
Yeah, so the idea is that it goes from,
Whoa.
oops. And again, this is the structure now. That. And this is almost, it's a very similar view.
Nice,
Yeah, pretty.
very nice.
Very nice, yeah.
So I
That's-
think we understand there'll be.
That's an impressive use of
short-term-
your 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually,
Well-
really, the only piece that's added is this piece
Yeah.
here. This is almost the exact same size as that there.
Yeah, but you're getting a second story on that
Oh,
little
front
bump out,
piece.
right?
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, it's this area right here that
Yeah.
just gets filled in.
Yeah.
And one of the concepts that they floated is to have a green roof, which doesn't mean a lawn or a volleyball court or something, but a green roof on part of the structure such that it mitigates the view from the bistro.
Any chance we can get any of the utility wires underground?
That was something that was actually just floated out today. It is quite a,
That's a rat's nest
quite a
down
rat's
there.
nest of
Yeah.
power lines, yeah, and it's really, it's what sits across the, it's what comes down the byway. It looks as if all the power for this entire area really comes down the byway the wrong way.
Yep.
And then jumps across the street over here to the cannery and then back up across.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a rat's nest. I'd love to get that cleaned up and
Yeah.
underground if we could, but even just cleaned up would be good.
And if the street, it would be a good time to do that, I guess, with the street being
Right.
closed off and the street being cleaned up after this is all done, so.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much, very good.
Okay. So the next item under new business is CMP pole placement request.
Yes, well, this is virtually the same as what we had, I think, at the last meeting.
A little perfunctory
Just a
item.
different location. This one's in the Spruce Wall area, and CMP is asking again for the Selectmen's permission to replace a pole in Spruce Wall. So I would ask the board to accept their request and sign accordingly at the end of the meeting.
Move to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Okay. It's not on the agenda, but I just thought I would throw out this idea for the next board meeting. One of the things we've done in, around this time of year in prior years is just for all of us to put together our thoughts about some accomplishments that we would like to set forth for ourselves for the next year, and I thought maybe we could think about them over the next 2 weeks and bring them to the next board meeting and have a brief discussion about them, that we hope to accomplish in the next 11 months. So, okay, great, so we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay, so next item on the agenda is public forum.
May I?
Oh, you have another item?
May I speak before we do that?
Absolutely, you may.
Well, at last meeting, we had the discussion about a moratorium on parking lots, and we promised to find out what the details are, and Tom asked the town lawyer about that, and it was, as I think we suspected at the time, in Boothbay Harbor, to have a moratorium, you need to have one proposed, posted, discussed, and adopted by town meeting. So it's the same as passing an ordinance. It goes through a town meeting process. And to me, that says anyway, there's no real advantage between having a moratorium and simply clarifying the laws. You do them at the same town meeting. So there's no time advantage to that. I just wanted to report that since we promised to figure out what the deal was, and we did.
Oh, and our annual town meeting happens to be at the beginning of May, but we could, if necessary, have
We could have
a special town
special
Special
meeting.
town meeting if it was worth the cost.
Should the planning board and the CEO come up with amended wording prior to that time. So, I think we probably all agree that it's something we want to do, so it would be worth the cost.
Yeah. So I just wanted to get that out there before we have public forum.
Okay, great, thank you. So, public forum, any questions, concerns from the public?
Yes. Helen Fana, Boothbay Harbor. After Bay Landing, I wanted to check with Tom again.
I know where you're going.
I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is on private, whether that is considered a private area right on the corner, just about maybe 25, 30 feet in. But it would, I gotta take them out. But it would help because a lot of people are walking, and now we've acquired dogs up there, so people are out walking their dogs and things like this, sometimes 7:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock, or a little later. You know, they just might be out for a walk where it's nice out. But it is awfully dark up there. And I really would like to see another light put up there. And if it is private, I'll have to get my wheels turning again. But I really would like to see something done.
I mean, I'd be glad to go up and take a look at it with you.
Okay.
I suspect it is private, but I haven't gone to that particular spot. I've
Right.
been told it's private, but I haven't seen it myself.
Yeah.
So,
A
but
lot
I'd
of
be glad
things
to
are
look at it.
considered private, but when you really look at them, sometimes there's a way of getting things done.
Give me a call tomorrow, we'll go look at it.
Okay, thank you. It was worth me talking at town meeting.
Anybody else? Yes.
Jim Powers, Spruce Wall. Regarding CMP poles you're talking about up there, in the past, CMP, when they replace a pole, they leave the old one standing. They take maybe several feet off of it and lay it on the ground. The old pole stays there next to the new pole. Can't we get them to take the whole pole away? I know at least two in Spruce Wall that are like that, and I've seen several others around town.
Yeah, I've seen a lot like that. I don't know. Does anybody know?
Mike,
The answer to
you
that?
may- your recollection may be better than
I've had
mine.
this come up before,
Yeah.
and whenever I've placed a call to them, they've told me, well, yes, those will be replaced, that they're on a certain schedule to take the old ones out. I don't know why they don't do it at the same time.
Yeah, that's, what I remember is the people who take the poles away are not the people who plant the poles.
Right.
It's a different crew, and they're run on a different schedule. And they're running behind the pole planting crew.
Probably 2 or 3 years behind.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, I've never had an instance where I've talked to them and they
What-
said, no, we won't do it.
But, Tom, we can
I can
place a
certainly-
call to them
Sure.
and try and hurry them along.
Just, can you let me know what the poll number is? Or polls, if there are multiple?
And I would recommend that you go on the CMP website, under customer service, you can put in a request yourself.
Is that my responsibility?
No, but if you're concerned about it, the
That's
more,
just-
the more they
Pestering,
hear, the
yeah.
more pestering they get, perhaps the better action you'll see.
Additionally, over the past year or two, CMP has hired a Splund, is that how you pronounce that, the tree service? A Splundi or whatever.
That's
what
what
it
it
That's
is.
one, yeah.
And they take a number of trees down that are, over the wires, hanging near the wires. And they will shred some of them, but others they just leave in piles beside the road, assuming that the cabin ones up there will use them for their fireplaces. But they don't want to burn pine trees, and they're just laying alongside the road and waiting for a fire to start. It's all over Spruce Wall. Are they required to haul that stuff away, the Splundy? Are Splund required to do that? I don't know. They chip what they want to chip, and then they leave the rest on the ground.
Maybe you can ask them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're asking the wrong people here, because it depends what their contract is with them, so, I mean, I can always ask.
They have the contract with CMP, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
Hi. Mine is not a question, just kind of an announcement. My name is Lori Pecor, and I'm speaking on behalf of my business, which is Marketing Sense, and as producer of Boothbay Harbor Fest. And Boothbay Harbor Fest will be celebrating its 3rd year this year, and in the last 2 years, the town of Boothbay Harbor has been instrumental in helping make the event possible, so thank you for that. As far as permittings that were needed in the past. And this year, in particular, the event that happened at the shipyard is not happening. The format has changed, so we won't be needing to ask for those permits. And I just kind of felt like I should keep the town in the loop, since it will be festivities that'll be happening around the town. And it's a 10-day festival. It will kick off on the Labor Day weekend, August 29th. And I printed off some schedule of events for anybody who's interested in having a copy. And it kicks off on Friday of Labor Day weekend. The bulk of the events will happen throughout that weekend, and they basically are happening within the businesses. So businesses that are participating will be featuring chili chowder and live music within their establishment. So instead of having the off-premise event that took place at the shipyard that came up with a lot of complications of doing an off-premise event, instead we're driving the ticket holders right into the businesses this year. And it'll go on through the full 3 days of the Labor Day weekend, and there's about 13 businesses so far that are involved. And there'll be several other festivities throughout the weekend as well. Art on the waterfront, which the Boothbay Region Arts Foundation has already pulled a permit for the park on that day. And then on Sunday, there will be a 5K and half marathon, which begins and ends at the Boothbay Craft Brewery. And Megan Hamlet, who is heading that up, has already worked with Chief Hash about that, because the half marathon does come into the town of Boothbay Harbor as well, and the town of Boothbay. And then going into the week, Monday through Friday is restaurant week, and many of the businesses, food and beverage establishments are involved in that. And then going into the next weekend is, what's new this year we're really excited about is a Fishin' for Fashion show, it's going to be called. And the local merchants are involved in that, as well as we are going to be bringing in designers who will be creating custom designs out of fishing materials. There's also that second weekend planned is a scenic yard sale tour, and anybody is welcome to get involved in that, from residents to businesses to any individuals as well. So not really asking for anything, just wanted to keep everybody in the loop and let you know about what will be happening during those 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right. Any other public forum comments? Okay, seeing none, we will move into executive session under MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Subchapter 1, Item 405, Section 6, D, labor contracts.
Also move that we accept the tentative agreement with the Teamsters on behalf of the Public Works Department.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion. Not on this end.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
We got it.
Next on the agenda is warrants. Do we have a motion?
Move to accept the warrant.
Second.
Careful
Review.
Review.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
This is not debatable. All in favor?
Thank you and good
Meeting is
night.
adjourned. Thank you, everybody.